Thank you for joining this episode of XTalks. We are going to kick this one off very soon. Cody, can we do a quick sound check, please, before we move on?
Yep, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Loud and clear.
Perfect.
All right, I guess we can kick this one off. Before we begin, I am sure you must all have read today's topic, "You Mother Fudder." This one is going to be a very interesting one. As always, I will be hosting alongside with Cryptonaut, who is our Chief Experience Officer. I am the community manager for Leo and X. A huge shout out to Ina, who has joined from X Talks. She's the one setting up all of these amazing spaces for all of you. Cody, would you like to give us a rundown as to what we can expect from this episode of X Talks?
For sure, for sure. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're at in this world. Um, as mentioned, my name is Cody, and I'm the Chief Experience Officer. So, for our listeners that are tuning in, if this isn't your first time, welcome back. If this is your first time, the XTalks AMA series is a platform that we've built that is sponsored by Layer 1X blockchain. We've built it so that we can give projects and chains a platform for them to basically share about their projects, their expertise, and their vision of a united Web3. Plus, when I host, we're going to definitely go down a few rabbit holes with our panelists in our discussions. So before introducing today's panelists, let's pause for a minute and take care of a few house items. First, if you have any questions during this AMA for our panelists, please make sure that you throw those in the comments below, and we'll get those up for our panelists to answer later in the show. Also, we'd love it if you would appreciate it if you would share the link to this episode and retweet it out. That's the only way we're going to basically build the awareness around all these mother fudders that are in this AMA with us. Likewise, be sure to mark your calendars for next, I believe, Monday. We have our next AMA coming up as well, which should be a good one. It's, I can't remember the topic off the top of my head. I apologize. Looks like it's going to be on seamlessly blending real world athletics with virtual reality simulations, which should be pretty cool. So basically, if you're into VR, AR, MR, whatever R you're into, this is definitely going to be a show that you'll want to tune into. We've got some pretty exciting guests joining us on that episode. Third, but not least, for our AMA format and for our panelists, it's pretty simple. You don't need to raise your hand. Half the time, I can't even see it because of the glorious X spaces that Elon's built for us. So just feel free to jump into the conversation whenever you feel like you have anything to contribute. And now that we have that out of the way, let's introduce our panelists today. So if you wouldn't mind, give us your 30-second elevator pitch and what you're up to these days in crypto. Who wants to go first? All right,
I can
Call
go
of the
for. I can.
Void. Oh,
Okay,
go for
yeah, I
it,
can go
Dub.
first. Yeah, so my name is Dub Digital. I've been in space about 10 years or so, and I'm currently the head of PR over at Player Chain, which is a multi-chain blockchain gaming infrastructure. We're going to be launching on Avalanche subnet. Testnet's coming up in a couple weeks, and mainnet launch in a month or so. So be on the lookout for that. To pretty much conceptualize it, we want to be a cross-chain gaming decentralized arcade. We're porting over a game library that's already existing that we built over a couple of years. And we're providing tools for builders of Web2 and Web3 and players in general to easily connect into Web3 and build on Web3 through APIs and toolkits. But happy to be here, and that's always a good time. So thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Welcome. All right. I'm just going to start going down the list. Call of the Void. You want to go next?
Yeah, happy to. Thanks for inviting us up on the space, and always love to talk about a bit of healthy FUD and try not to throw as much around as I want to. I'm Matt. I'm the co-founder, CEO of Call of the Void. We are a top-down mobile shooter that is out right now, live on App Store, and we are creating an ecosystem. We're releasing our ecosystem token soon. It's called Void, and we are making 4 mobile games which will inform pieces of what we like to describe as RuneScape on Acid on Web3, which will be a multi-platform MMO that will be interoperable with the entire ecosystem. And it's going to have some really interesting things: tokenized accounts, tokenized resources, different layers of rewards, and any token spent in game goes to the prize pool. So skill to earn.
I love that. Mindless.
Hey, it's like getting called on in a classroom when the teacher reads your name off a register. Good to see you all. I manage the BD side of things here at Style Protocol. Very simply, we are looking to bring about interoperability between gaming assets, playable gaming assets, between games in a seamless, timely manner at no cost for studios and publishers. We also have a protocol that turns basic 2D NFTs into in-game playable characters that can be used throughout our partnered games.
Welcome back. Michael.
GM. Still having my coffee here, so my brain's on one cylinder, but we're making do. My name is Michael, co-founder of Curvance. We just launched our test net on Friday. We announced it officially yesterday. The private version, invite links are needed, but it's going very well. Finding a few edge case bugs there, and yeah, it's exciting times. So excited to be here as well.
Perfect. Welcome. Tasker.
Hey everybody. Good to see everybody again. I'm Zataxter. I'm a creator, esports commentator, as well as just marketer here on the Web3 gaming side of things. And yeah, I hold positions in Cedify as well as W3 Gaming, where I help with tournaments, campaigns, and different kinds of events around games. So proper gamer in Web3 gaming. Good to be back here. This is my second XTalks, so looking forward to hearing from all the great games and people in here.
Well, you're definitely a veteran now, so welcome back. Easy.
GM, everybody. So happy to be here in this space. When I saw the title, I'm like, yo, I gotta be in this space, man. It's such a fascinating and very interesting topic. I think we'll have a lot of stories to share. EC is a gamified marketplace for NFTs, tokens, as well as RWAs. We are trading those things on 3 blockchains: Ethereum, Polygon, Blast, and you can actually trade ETH NFTs on Blast with our platform, so you don't have to pay those ETH fees. And yeah, we're a one-stop liquidity shop for you to get easy liquidity, for you to buy low and sell high. Check us out, ec.io, and thanks for having us in this space.
All right, Tipsy.
Hey everybody, Forever Tipsy here. On behalf of the Tipsy Company, founder and CEO, we have 2 mobile games right now. One is Get of Abyss, which is a location-based RPG. So think of turn-based combat, Pokemon Go, except that it has more emphasis on social elements and character progressions. The game is undergoing some massive updates, so it's still in its early access, but we have over 7,000 downloads now and over 500 daily active players on the Play Store, coming to the App Store soon. It's now on test flight. We have our second game which just launched. It's Noah Frontier. an intergalactic space warfare base management game as well on both the Play Store and the App Store, released a couple of days back. I encourage you guys to check out both games. They're free to play, friendly for both Web 2 and Web 3 audiences because there's no wallet connection required unless you want to do that, through our web apps. But yeah, that's our approach, man. I mean, cheers, and nice to see some familiar faces in the audience.
All right. Well, welcome. Exodus.
Good day. I'm Johan. I'm the CMO of Exodus, our universe. We basically a social gaming hub / metaverse where dreams come true. Like we have no limit. We build out of our community, and of course, we enjoy FUD. It's the only way we can be kept in our lane, basically in this entire universe.
Sweet. Meme coin.
Hey, thanks for having us. Is this it's like a gaming space? I'm not too sure. It feels like everybody's in gaming.
Nah,
But
we
anyway,
just attract a lot of games. Everybody in the gaming industry loves us, I guess.
fair enough. All right, cool. Well, basically, yeah, we are the first ever meme coin conference, first in the world. There is no other. It's taking place in Lisbon from the 28th to the 30th of May. We are in partnership with the likes of Harry Potter, Obama, Sonic 10 Inu, Toshi, Crypto Banter, who else? BitGet, and another 50 partners. So for all the gaming projects here, if you're looking for communities, if you're looking for degens to come and play your games, you need to reach out, you need to be at MemeCon. And we're also in partnership very quickly with another conference called Non-Fungible Conference, and they've been going for the past 2 years. So it's actually a conference within 5 different conferences. So we've got meme coins with MemeCon, we've got ordinals, we've got fashion, we've got gaming, we've got everything. So if you're not there, you need to be. So yeah, reach out to us. We got discounted tickets. We got everything going on. Massive club opening night in Lisbon. Free drinks for everyone. Beach party on the last day with the sandbox. Like it's really going to be an amazing party and the place to be this summer. So yeah, hit us up and yeah, thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks for joining. Last but not least, and I apologize, I'm probably going to slaughter this name, but Gonico?
It's Guanaco, but it's not my real name, so don't worry about it.
Oh, cool.
Hey guys, Steph here. I'm at Kirok. I oversee Kirok's market making operations and relationships. We're one of the biggest LPs and market makers in the space. Been around since 2016. I'm here to talk about FUD because we love it and we get a lot of it as a market maker for a variety of reasons. So happy to debunk all of that. So please ask me anything. And passionate NFT collector, active in the Gen Art space. We got a GameFi desk ourselves where we provide liquidity for GameFi items. So happy to talk about that a bit as well, given there's a great gaming angle today. And yeah, anything NFT related, hit me up as well. Big passion of mine, but yeah, market making at heart and been doing so since 2016.
Perfect. Well, welcome. Yeah, definitely got some familiar faces, got some new faces coming into the XTalks episode today. So I think we're definitely going to have a good amount of panelists, expertise and knowledge when it comes to the FUD. So if you're just tuning in, my name is Cody. I am the Chief Experience Officer at Layer 1X. We are talking about all you mother FUDders out there. And can FUD serve as a healthy catalyst? We are discussing if the negativity and noise can actually act like a pressure test in a sense and force projects to get stronger and communities to get smarter. And so we're definitely going to be going down a few rabbit holes, talking with, like I mentioned, a few experts, community leaders, and it sounds like there might be a few reformed FUD slingers in this panelist as well. So I'm excited to get going on this one. So if you haven't done already, please make sure that you retweet this space so that we can get it out. It's definitely going to be a good one. So without further ado, let's just kind of jump in to today's question. So the first question I have is, as communities, as investors, as projects, we oftentimes dismiss FUD as inherently negative. But are there circumstances where FUD can spark necessary critical thinking about projects, or ultimately benefiting the community of a project instead of being negative? Feel free to jump in.
Oh yeah, I'd love to jump in on this because I believe if you are looking at the kind of the FUD rider or the FUD rider in chief, it's maybe not games, but it's certainly, I would say, Mr. Frank from D-Gods. And I'd say that guy, he rides on a wave of FUD and attention. And sometimes there is critical FUD, right? If Zach XBT FUDs you, that's it. That's like the pull up a chair of crypto. It's like as soon as you get in that space, it's like, why don't you have a seat there? And then Zach is there, and that's it. You're fucking suicide. That's FUD from Zach will murder a project. In fact, if you want to effectively kill a project, probably paying Zach is the best way of getting rid of any competition in the space. Don't do it, please. But then again, you could just be inept. And being inept is not a problem until people lose money. So I do think there is a difference between the kind of FUD, like FUD where people are still waiting for the money is actually just attention. But FUD where people actually have the money or have made money or about to lose money, I think is more critical. And there's a difference in the kind of FUD. Like, this isn't going to be a great launch. FUD gets attention. If this launch is going to be rugged, FUD can get attention, and but also goes into that other level. I'd love to see what everyone else thinks, but I think it's really about like how much money have you already made for your community versus how much they will rabidly defend against the FUD. Because a little FUD's always a good thing. At least people are talking about you.
Yeah,
Wow,
I'll
I
go ahead and
dropped the
jump.
mic hard.
I'll go ahead and jump in for a little bit. Yeah, I totally agree. You know, there's a difference between being like overly fuddish and defensive. You know, I think ultimately we need bullish people, we need bearish people. You know, FUD is just a natural balancing out of that. It's where you get to any one side too much is the problem, right? Because FUD does serve a purpose. You know, it brings your attention to things that you might not want to think about, especially when things are going up, things are going well for your project, but it might be something that needs to be addressed. You know, so I think having a balanced approach to having a FUD and like listening to things where there are actual problems and addressing them is definitely valuable for your project in the long term. But not letting it get carried away, I think, is the sweet spot.
Well, quiet.
Yeah. Also, like sometimes FUD can come from ineffective communication. You know, with EC, we had a pretty hyped test net. People were messing around the thing, and there was, of course, you have a platform on testnet. A lot of things are not working properly, or a lot of things are not intuitive, and so sometimes people can get confused. Sometimes expectations may not be met, so that can lead to FUD. And so I think you know, teams need to communicate very clearly about what the expectations are, and try to put as much material out there as possible, because we all know that the degens that are chasing points, that are chasing pumps, they don't exactly read. They just like see number go up, they ape, and so forth. So I really think that communication really helps to address or mitigate as much as possible FUD. Go ahead. Anybody can just chime in. Don't have to raise your hands.
Okay. Now, I was just wondering how, FUDs, whether or not FUD is, a catalyst for good or bad is highly dependent or relative to the team of the project itself. Because I'm pretty sure everyone in here can attest to this, that we've seen on the timeline on multiple occasions, some projects, like some team members, the team leads can't really manage or, bear with everything happening on the timeline or in their Discord for the most part, and they break down quite a bit. Some even hilariously end up crying, believe it or not. But yeah, so someone spoke about Frank. He's a good example of how he mitigates or even just converts that FUD into fuel and just keeps pushing for his community. And even though you could argue all his projects and NFTs don't shine as much as they used to, they still are right up there in a way. And yeah, they've been surviving pretty well. So I think it's very relative to the team and how they react to any kind of FUD that comes your way. As far back as 6 months ago, I remember people were FUDding Magic Eden. We know a couple years ago when they came out, they were. I mean, it was everybody were being critical about their launch pad and whatnot. And look at them now; everybody talks about them as somewhat of a killer of OpenSea, right? So yeah, relative to the team.
Mindless, you should know by now you don't have to raise your hand.
Oh, appreciate it. I've just realized on desktop you can raise hands now, so I was just flexing that. That's all. So just to the first part of this discussion, I think it's if we discredit the obvious types of FUD that are incorrect, misaligned, misunderstood, mischievous, often outright from competing communities, or just general lack of understandings, or even impatience. Like if we discredit all of that, I think it would be silly to assume that all FUD is incorrect. There are often, I've seen to the detriment of teams, some very, very valid criticisms at times. And if they go ignored, you could really end up in some serious trouble, because you are often going against the very communities that can make you who you are. So I think the trick is to be able to differentiate between these two, which is a valid criticism, i.e. might be misconfused as FUD, and what is genuinely just outright FUD nonsense, and just filter that out. That I think is the trick to some of this at the beginning, at least anyway.
Yeah, I think to add in here, agree with what all the speakers said. I'm of the belief that FUD is a bit of a double-edged sword, especially in this crypto Web3 space. I mean, it is a bit of a destructive force, right? Because it can potentially undermine confidence in a project, especially if you think about it from the investor's perspective. Sometimes people do not know what they do not know. Right. I mean, they look at a cup and they look at it being half empty instead of it being half full. So in that case, they could always spread some misinformation. It could create toxic communities because FUD does breed negativity, and we understand. And especially in the context of a gaming ecosystem, which is what we're building, it's all about the community. It's all about trust. It's all about this collective goal, this collective vision. So you want to hold this community strong. But I think, on the flip side, FUD could also be a catalyst. It opens up room for constructive feedback. It can be a huge motivator for something like due diligence, because a bit of uncertainty, it can prompt investors to dig deeper, separate the good projects from the crappy ones. I mean, we know that the space is just plagued with scams and pumps and dumps. So I think it's a bit of a double-edged sword. It also kind of creates buying opportunities. I know this is a bit ironic, but sometimes, when somebody is just skeptical of project, without fundamental reason, without fundamental cause, and then they kind of spread it, and then they then dump, it does create buying opportunities for those who believe, and they can double down deeper into that project. So that's just my take on it.
Yeah, it's a good take as well. And I do think, sorry for just jumping in if I was going to crush someone there. I think, yeah, there is this whole thing of like FUD creates this sort of incentive to look deeper in a project. And sometimes the start of FUD is really quite, it's the thing that saves some people. I mean, you can have this snowball effect where FUD basically just goes crazy and people can sell up. But if the project is more liquid, like an NFT project, then I think FUD can start to kind of undo those things. And maybe because the process takes a little longer than, say, a meme coin, if there's FUD in a meme coin, it can be over like in seconds. But FUD in, say, an NFT project or a game project, I think it does help to maybe the team to fix something. It's something that comes up, and it's sort of just generally, it's usually either a misunderstanding that has been communicated badly from the roadmap, or it's this kind of idea that something technical is wrong. And it's really good to have a lot of people willing to FUD you, to look at your contracts to make sure that you're not doing something crazy or stupid, like locking up the entire liquidity into a contract you can't get out of. So there is plenty of things like that. And I think in games, especially, and in protocols and stuff, we do benefit sometimes from having those fully doxed teams, from having the audits on your token freely available on your site, from providing the audit score, from trying to use the kind of the best in the business. But in general, it's very weird when you have some sort of FUD which is just about, say, a founder. Like the personal kind of FUD is probably one of the hardest to deal with for a team or a project, because the team can't help the founder. I mean, if the founder's like drunk and goes on Spaces and drops the N-bomb and calls people all of the nasty words, then that will destroy a project. We are very much focused on FUD that says that you're not good enough to run the project. It's a critical fail, right? So I think that's one of the things that there's technical FUD, there's founder FUD, there's flavors of FUD, there's kind of like helpful FUD. I don't know, man. How many times can I say FUD in a space? Let's do it. Let's see if we trend.
I was thinking every time someone says FUD, we have to take a shot.
Yeah, that would, I'd be dead. But yeah.
Sounds like Call of the Void is the mother of all Fudder. So let's.
I am the mother Fudder.
I love it. Yeah, I definitely agree that it. Were you saying something, Sam?
Oh no, I was just saying that if I speak something rubbish, just know that it was fun.
Gotcha. Yeah. So, I mean, I think it's a good point. When it comes to responding to FUD, it's important to check the emotion at the door, because oftentimes people can get a little heated in their FUD responses, and especially for moderators and community managers and things like that, not to take it personal. Most of the time it's just venting frustration, which I think that a lot of other community members view as kind of FUD as well. So, there is a healthy catalyst there, I believe, as well, with a whole bunch of, opportunities to turn FUD into positives and turn FUDsters into ambassadors. There's definitely a right mix there of how you do it. But hats off to the moderators, because they definitely are on the front line dealing with a lot of things. I see quite a few of our mods at Layer 1X in the audience today. So big shout out to them, and probably big shout out to many of your guys' mods that are probably listening in as well. So, all right, we're kind of at the halfway point. If you guys are just tuning in, my name is Cody. I'm the Chief Experience Officer at Layer 1X, and we've got a bunch of FUD that we're kind of waddling through right now as we discuss, what is FUD, how can we overcome it, and can it be a healthy catalyst? So if you guys have any questions for our panelists, just as a reminder, please throw those down in the comments below, and we will get those up to our panelists later here in the show. So moving on to the next question that I have is kind of around what we were just talking about. With bad actors undoubtedly exploiting FUD for their own gain. Are there ways that you can identify specific kind of maybe FUD campaigns against you and your community, or are there specific countermeasures that you can do to kind of protect yourself? Let's kind of go a little bit more down that rabbit hole.
Okay, I'm always the kid in class who would have put his hand up first, but there are no hands, and everyone likes to think about their answers. It's like when you get to one of those late night spaces and you say something and you finish, and the host's like, And there's just a weird silence. But no, it's not like that. It's all good. I think to protect yourself and insulate yourself from FUD, even when you're dealing with your own employees, is horribly honest transparency. If you try to culture a mystique around you, you're going to fall on your face, like hard. Like if you try and have this really awesome mystique and you're just hiding behind your PFP, and then people meet you and you're kind of insignificant looking and you're not like one of those like monkey face guys who's ripped and is like, if you don't interact with me, I'm going to unfollow you. You're going to fail. Like one of them is standing in front of a sports car and it's like, get in the car. I'm like scared of these people. Like, what if I do get in the car? Rip my arms off. But basically, I think the best insulation from FUD is to be open as much as you can, as honest as much as you can. Explain to them you're a small team. Don't try and cultivate this mystique outside of your like narrative or outside of your IP. Just don't hide from it. Like, don't hide from it. Be available as much as you can. And when you get things wrong, tell them immediately you fucked up. Don't tell them to, if you don't believe, like, floor it and get the fuck out. Like, there is a good balance, though. I think Sappy Seals did a really good thing where Wub, he came into the community and he basically started ripping on people on Twitter and saying, like, if you don't believe in us, fuck off. And that's fair. Like, there is a certain amount of that, but you can't wrap yourself up in a mystique. You can't hide from the people, but you can, as a founder, tell them you are with us or against us. And then low-level FUD, I think that just creeps in and just slowly gets bigger and becomes part of a meme and is like a joke about floor prices or whatever. That can be really destructive to a community. You do want people going in the same direction. So you do have to have, I'd say, a sense of leadership, but also just be completely an open book. Don't have to be doxxed, depending on the project, though.
Yeah, great point. Great point for sure. And I think, we've all been there in Telegram chats where it's like you're explaining the same thing over and over and over again. I think the medium which you explain and be open is probably ideal to do some kind of like AMAs, maybe even set up like, consistent AMAs or spaces or somewhere where it's just an open forum that can be listened to again. So you can forward it to people whenever it comes up again. So you're not doing the same thing 1,000 times. But I just find that whenever people feel that they can communicate with you frequently, and there's going to be chances in the future where they have questions, that FUD comes by less and less and less. Just because they know that they can reach out to you, you're once again being transparent, But just that they know that, okay, I didn't get this answer right now. I could ask maybe next week or whenever it comes up. And even when FUD comes, it'll stick less. I've found over time.
I mean, that's a really good point about the frequency of AMAs and stuff like that. I mean, it's really hard as a founder to set a balance. Like, we're in a tiny fucking team where everything's either on fire or going crazy and going great. And there's this balance between putting your marketing plan together and also putting that time in for your community. And I think really strong, good community managers are definitely one of the first lines of defense a founder has from rampant FUD. And I'd say, like, pay your community managers well, and trust them and build a good relationship with them. And I've been guilty of this in the past, like not having time for them, in quote unquote, not having time for them. And it's not because they're not an integral part of the project. It's just because I kind of trust them to get on with it because they've been doing it so well. So you do need to sort of get back out of your own head, get back out of your own problems, and try and look at the community from the outside, or if you were a new member, and you've got to be curious and ask those questions. Where are people lacking in the education? We always talk about education. Where are we falling down? What are the misconceptions, common misconceptions about the project? How do I do that? Do we have educational tweets? Do we do AMAs? Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that you can do. And I think it really varies depending on the project. Like, if you're a DeFi project, you have to be so fucking precise, because if you mess that up, people are going to lose a lot of money. But if you're an NFT project, if you don't constantly have the vibe and the attitude and the community, then they're not going to feel like they're part of a cool club. So it's all about like carrying yourself in the right way for the right community and still being open and not being like a twat, because everyone knows those kind of communities who are like, you have a popular holder and they just tell people, if you don't have 100K NFT, don't talk to me. And then, like, I don't know, 6 months later, they're like, param, block, param, farming, portal coin, I'll boost you. And then, that sucks, right? I mean, it would be quite nice if, as a community member, you could auto burn people's fucking NFTs. That would be amazing. You just put it to a vote in the DAO, fuck this guy in particular, burn their PFP, and you will have a celebration. I think that'd be great. Let's do that. Destructo DAO. Anyone who's a twat, burn their PFP. Love it.
That would be fun.
But the twats.
I was gonna say, like, it's interesting in Web3. I've been out of the conversation pretty much this entire time. I'm still getting this coffee down, man. I'm rough this morning, but yeah, in Web2, like, it's interesting because you don't get that direct interaction with the C-levels, like in an organization. Like, even in a startup setting, right? You can't just jump into a group chat and like start tagging the CEO and being like, "Hey, when this, what's going on?" And there's like that level of separation between the customer and the basically C-level team, right? You have customer support as a kind of in between those. And in Web3, like, there's such a tribalistic effect where, like, you kind of cultivate a cult, really. And it can get a bit overwhelming. I have like mixed opinions on FUD. I feel like there's like two types. There's like the bots, like there's like people that are like purposefully trying to negate price for personal gain. A good example of that, I don't know if you guys remember, like the Chainlink. I forget which group it was, but like back when Chainlink in like 2018, 2019 was having its big run up, there was some group that was like running Twitter ads and stuff trying to like get the price of Chainlink down because they had a ton of open shorts on it. They got wrecked completely. But that was like an example in my mind of like unbiased FUD. It was just like ungrounded. There was no purpose for it other than personal gain. And then I've seen other communities where like it's not even FUD, but it gets labeled as.
All right. Sorry about that, everyone. We'll just try to get everybody up as quickly as possible. So bear with us for just 1 second. Gotta love Twitter and X Spaces. So give us just a sec and we'll be right back. I guess while we wait for everybody to accept our invites, we'll just kind of keep the conversation going. The last question we had was based on before we got rugged was, are there ways to identify FUD within the community and what are some countermeasures that you can do to protect yourself? Tipsy, Exodus, and Steph, do you guys want to add in some flavor there as well?
Yeah, I'll jump in because I got a hard stop in 15. But no, I think what the previous answer was alluding to is extremely relevant. You need to have a major filter, right? And the biggest training you have to do yourself is to train that filter. You know this meme of Madman where they have this person saying to the, I don't know his name, but it's like, I feel sorry for you, and then the Madman guy says, I don't even think about you, right? I think that's some sort of mentality that you need to train yourself in as a founder and a builder in order to be able to negate FUD in a really, strong way, right? Sometimes not reacting is the best reaction, because typically if you react too much or you spend too much time on this stuff, you're actually taken away from what you should be doing, which is building and work on your product and your go-to-markets. And like FUD in the end of the day is criticism, right? And criticism is awesome. You should be welcome it. The reason why FUD in this industry is so sensitive or so aggressive is because it results into price action. And actually, people should stop caring about price action. If you're building something solid, price will follow. Price is just a result, it's not a means to an end. But that's the reason why everybody's so emotional about it. So my biggest advice here is to create your own filter, right? Respond to the FUD that is actual criticism and be extremely transparent about it and give an answer. Don't listen to the boost. Boosts always come from the cheap seats, and don't talk about price. Like the moment you talked about price, like once publicly or even privately or in some Discord, you already lost. So I if that has to be my ending statement because I have to leave the call in a few minutes, I hope that's the one because FUD is great. It creates followers, it creates builders. But you need to choose which FUD to accept and which to ignore.
Those are some good insights. Anyone left on the panelists want to comment on that?
Yeah, I think we as a project need FUD. Like, we're building for our community, we're building for ourselves. And if we don't have any FUD or any connection to the community, then do we really know where we're going? I mean, like, I don't know about you guys, but I've never gone into a project where I have not seen FUD. If there's no FUD, I don't believe in a project. Like, there's nowhere there's only positivity. That's an utopia that doesn't exist in my world. So FUD is there, and we as a project just need to give the FUDers a way to come out with it, like release the emotion about it with AMAs or questions, like in any way or form. Not only that, like the FUD can also give us ideas. Maybe there's sitting someone out there that has this great idea and he just wants to communicate it out and thinks that we're just doing everything wrong until we listen to him. So for us, yeah, FUD is needed. It's like I think that is what we built a community on, is that there's always going to be negative people there, and then negative people are going to drive us further and then make us bigger in that sense. So yeah, I like FUD, and I like to deal with FUD as well. I like to talk to the people that come with FUD as well. So we appreciate it. It's in every single project, and I think it's going to stay. I think it's not as negative as people think it is. It's more positive. It might be negative in the moment where you have to deal with it, but a week later when you have been thinking about it, then it's not negative anymore. Then it's giving you something to do instead of you just sitting with your own thoughts. So yeah. And by the way, I have a toothache, so my voice and everything is not that great. But yeah, that's my opinion.
Your message rang loud and clear, my friend. So don't worry about your tooth. It's all good. So yeah, I 100% agree with you. I love what you said. No FUD, no investment. That definitely rings true for me as well. It's interesting as you kind of look at things, from a variety of different perspectives. For me, FUD is, I agree with you, FUD is definitely something that should be welcomed by any project. And if you believe that you can go out there and launch your project without any FUD coming your way, you're definitely up in the night and you're going to hit a wall and you're not going to know how to handle it. So having a good FUD kind of policy and procedure of how you handle that internally is definitely going to be a bonus in that. So likewise, for us, over the years of working within many different communities, one thing that I've learned is that FUD can also be a great way to determine the organic health of a community as well. Meaning if FUD does come into a community, how is it handled? Is it handled by, the moderators? Is it handled by the executive team? Or is it handled by the community members that are within your community? And so for me, I judge a lot of the organic health of a community based upon who's responding to those people. They definitely need to be responded to. They definitely need to be acknowledged, validated on their frustrations or concerns that they may have, and evaluated to see if it is something that is needs to be dealt with or banned or just answered. a lot of times people just want to hear themselves and hear that they've got an opportunity and a platform to be heard. As long as we all act as adults, in my opinion. Sometimes you get these people that come in and act like little kids, and they're little tantrums, but those can also be dealt with as well. So thanks. Looks like we've got a few of our panelists back, which is great. So thanks. Sorry, guys, for having it rug a little bit earlier. You got to love X. I really do hope that Elon gets this taken care of quickly. All this rugging definitely is very frustrating. So, so if anybody doesn't have anything else to add on to that, I will go on to my next question. I want to be mindful of time as well. So again, if you guys have any quick questions, feel free to throw those up in the comments below, and I will try to get them to our panelists. I apologize, I swapped over and didn't happen to look at the other questions if there were any. So if you have any, please drop them, and I will try to watch for them in this thread as well. Kind of moving on to the next question that I wanted to talk about was, we've talked about the challenges, we've talked about some opportunities. What can we do as individual investors or community members to help create a healthy community where healthy skepticism strengthens projects rather than tearing them down?
Yeah, I'll chime in with that one. I think being able to share constructive feedback, being able to ask valid questions, all of that is super important. And to supplement on the points that we circled back earlier on, I think there was talks about, hey, being a founder, you really want to be out there, you want to engage firsthand with your community. All of that is very important. It's very important to be able to address FUD in that way. It's also important to kind of interact upfront and up close with every community member who wants to talk to you. I think that just goes to show the level of commitment, the level of dedication and passion you have. And like a couple of them have said on the panel, FUD is really, really important, right? Because if it doesn't exist, then your community is just like a little ghost town there. But being able to address them, I mean, if someone brings up a valid question, you want to leave that in the community, in the chat. You don't want to delete it, right? Because that is not a good sign. You want to be able to respond to it, with the right mind, with clarity, and think rational. I mean, sometimes when FUD comes into play, there's a lot of irrational banter that takes place. You want to be rational, and you also want to be firm with your stance. If you have a certain vision, you want to continue building towards that vision. You want people to buy into that vision, and those who just can't resonate with your vision and your vibes, then of course encourage them that they're free to move on. Right? It is a free market out there. The different communities that exist. You want to cultivate yours. What is uniquely yours? I think that's important.
Great insight.
Yeah, I'll jump in real quick. I think pretty much defining and taking control of the situation up front by identifying like a mechanism of which people can reach out to you. So like it's not just like some kind of rage comments in your Telegram group, like perhaps have a section where they could submit concerns they have, right? And then address them in a forum. I think a lot of the reasons we have people lashing out is because they feel like they don't have a way to effectively communicate, or if they do, the things don't get addressed. So I think the chaotic ways people sometimes tweet, comment, especially if they either felt like they lost money or they don't know what's going on, is just it's more or less a cry for like help, right? So if you give them a way where like, old businesses would have a suggestion box, if there's a digital form of that, and then you address them, compile the concerns, get rid of the ones that are just ridiculous, because we all have some kind of measure of those, and then address them periodically. I think that would help as well to keep it constructive.
Yeah, I agree with that, and I think there's one other thing to really like understand how FUD propagates across a community and where it comes from. It's also about like the pull of individual community members, right? As soon as you start noticing a community member who's like starting to become a key opinion leader within the community or just around, like it's quite often you need to either include that person or you need to mod that person or you need to like address that person, because what can happen is you can see some of the apes, they get famous in their own right for their own thing, and then some of them start fudding, maybe for likes, maybe for clicks, maybe because they've they've ridden on the project, and they've taken their own slice of fame from that, and then now being kind of like fudding the project makes them kind of, you know, more popular, more famous, gets more engagement. So you also have to monitor like how your community responds to its strongest members. And sometimes it's not just a case of running an AMA to everyone or doing this sort of like one size fits all approach. If you can see someone who's kind of like got a bit of a following and they're quite popular, you kind of have to improve them, like improve your relationship with them generally and treat them like you would a KOL that you're just paying to shill your ass. So I think it's kind of like, if you can make that person money, they will love you. And if you can make that person believe in, even if they are a little bit sarcastic, if you can make them believe in the mission, then they're not just going to be like ironically holding your PFP and then talking shit smack about you on X.
No, I agree 100%. Mindless, do you have anything you want to add to that? You've usually got some great perspectives.
So the only thing I can add to this is I've seen certain founders and communities do this part really well, and that's to preemptively manage FUD before it arrives. So if you know there's specific weaknesses or certain gripes that the community may have 6 months from now, it's to begin to be very open and admit them quite early. So that way, when some of these things do land, it takes the edge off of it a little bit. You can sort of say, hey, look, we've been open about this for 6 months. We knew this was an issue. Here's where we mentioned this. This is where we talked about this. Because often when newer folks step into the space, 12 months later, when your project's a little more mature, and they may have been unaware that some of these conversations took place. Again, they may be perfectly valid criticisms, but just being able to prove, to say, hey, look, we did the justice. We are completely open about this. Here's the link. This is where it happened. It takes that edge off of it. And to the detriment, in some instances, I've actually seen this play in a very unfavorable way, in the sense that there's been actual, to my understanding, dubious action or fraudulent actions within certain communities. But because the FUD happened 12 months ago, nobody seems to care about it anymore. Like, that episode happened, that discussion happened, and just revisiting a fact like that, they could just overcome it by saying, oh, that's old news. Yeah, cool. Tell me something new. And it could be, it's a $10 million heist that happened. Like, that's big news. Yeah, but it's old news. We talked about it before. So I've seen it work well, even with negative connotations in this perspective. So if it could do well in that sense, I think it could definitely be leveraged with good intentions by a team that sort of wants to do good by it.
Yes, totally agree. Thanks for the insight. So yeah, we're coming up on the hour, and I definitely want to be mindful of everybody's time. So I guess I'll just kind of ask this last question. In regards to FUD and FUD within your own community kind of thing, FUD being, maybe you were even a FUDster as well. One of the big things that we want to look at is, what kind of, if you could say one thing to your community in regards to how you guys are managing FUD, how you guys want to have them basically act around FUD, what would that be? And give us a 30-second little clip on how people can get in contact with you and that kind of thing, and we'll just end it with that.
Thanks. I'll kick off because I got to jump into another one. But I would say to anyone from our community listening, if you hear FUD, if you hear anything truly negative, just jump into the Telegram or just put yourself on Twitter and any of our tweets. If you want to get something to my attention, especially fast, then do that. If you hear anyone sort of saying that there's everything's all over and it's all on fire, probably not true. If you see something that you don't understand, just ask. We'll always be around. We may not get to everyone straight away, and we will continue as we get bigger and better to improve chatting to people and giving people votes and making it a whole thing. And thank you so much for having me on the space. I love you all. I got to run.
Yeah, I'll jump in there as well. Yeah, you can reach us at our Telegram group, the Player Chain Telegram group. Just go ahead and tag us. Myself or one of our many great community managers are always there. And first and foremost, we're a community-driven project, so we really care about what our communities think and the perspectives that you have. But I also have to jump. But thanks for having me, everyone. It was fun.
All right, Exodus, bring it home.
We have our TG and Discord and Twitter. It's like you can even DM it personal to me and I will handle it myself. We're always open for it. We have ticket systems, feedback systems in order for this. We always want to hear people's personal opinions about everything we do. So yeah, don't hesitate, always communicate. And thank you for having us on this space. It was it was a pleasure to be here.
Well, thanks for coming. Appreciate it. So, yeah, thanks to all of our panelists and our listeners that tuned in. Apologize for X for ruggedness, but thanks for jumping over and catching us on part 2 of Mother Fudder. Definitely want to give our panelists a big thank you. If you haven't already, go ahead and give them a follow. They definitely deserve it. Check back on the other one so that you can see all of our panelists. We didn't get majority of them back, unfortunately, but yeah, it's still let's definitely take this one to the next level. Tune in next Monday for our next episode. Like I said, it'll be on VR, AR, MR. It'll be a great one. We've got some special guests coming in, but again, thanks to all of our panelists. Thanks to my co-host Sam and Inna, who puts these together. With that, we will call this one a completed episode. Thanks everybody for joining. We'll catch you on the next one. Bye-bye.